Hi, everybody.
Hello.
It's okay if I sit out here today? Yeah. All right. No? Somebody said no? Well, I'm not going to change. I just wanted to know. That's all. It was not because I was going to do anything different. It was just a courtesy thing. So I'm going to start with Thursday night. I went and saw Lee Harris in Vancouver. Anybody familiar with Lee Harris? Yeah, great. And actually, let me take a step back. Anybody here for the first time today? Yeah? Awesome. Welcome. I met you in person today, Vanessa, right? And Vanessa and I have connected online at Insight Timer. And you're from Prince George, is that right? Yeah, and you're in town. Awesome. So thank you. Thank you for being here today. Appreciate it. So I went to Lee Harris, and for those that don't know, Lee Harris does channeling. He channels the Z's, and it's very similar to, I can't think of. Esther, thank you. So it's channeling in that vein, and I've never really understood it or thought I had any ability to channel, but Lee set me straight on Thursday night. I'm glad to say that in his conversation, I realized actually that we all channel. We all just channel in a different way, and so even though I might not be somebody that can channel another celestial being or some past lives or anything like that, I realize that usually on Sunday when I'm up here or when I do my Insight Timers or when I'm writing, I am channeling. I don't know where it's coming from. It's just coming through me. So Lee gave me permission on Thursday night to understand that I actually channel. And I'm open to that. And what has happened since then is I have just been writing every single morning. Like way more than ever before. And so for preparing for today, rather than come up here with a few bullet points, I actually wrote out today's entire conversation. I probably won't refer to it too often, but it's all here, and it'll probably become a post at some point for what has transpired. So I want to take a step back in this understanding one source, because that is Unity's first principle. There is one power, one source active in the universe and in my life, God the good. And so we might say that like, oh yeah, that's the first principle, but what does it actually mean? Like, what do we do with that information? And then also this month is the power of understanding. And so I thought I would see if I could marry these two things together and give us something to walk out of here with that establishes a way of being going forward. Is that fair? Everybody okay with that? So I'm going to talk for about 3 hours. I hope that's okay. So whatever plans, this is your permission to text and change your plans right now. Okay. So let's go back to the Genesis in the Bible. So I'm gonna use some Hebrew scriptures here. So in Genesis, it begins with the creation story. This mythological idea that there's this vast darkness and there is this thing sort of laying over top of this darkness, the void, if you will, and that void is actually water. And so we'll call this force God. Just for lack of to make it easy, we'll just use the term God. But in your head, I give you full permission to translate that into any other word you would like to use. Okay, but for all intents and purposes here, I'm going to use the word God. So there is this one power, one source, and it begins to go about creating the days, right? So we actually end up with all 7 days created, and on 5 of those days, where the creation story is, it ends with, and God saw that it was good. And on the 6th day, so there's actually 2 times. On the 3rd day, God saw that it was good is said twice. And on the 6th day, God saw that it was good is said twice again, to give us a total of 7, which 7 is a very important number in biblical scriptures. And you can also think of 7 as our 7 chakras. Like 7 is an important spiritual number. But on the 6th day, the last and final good is after humans are created, God saw that it was very good. So that's the only change in the use of the word good, very good. Now, if you're like me, maybe you go to the place of good versus bad. Anybody? Kind of immediately think, oh, this is good, but this is bad. Way back then, that was not the meaning of the word good. The Hebrew word that was actually used was called Toove. And what it means is something is in order. It's in working condition. It works together. It's happening. So when God stood back and went, Tov miod, which is very good, it was a sort of idea that here is all of this thing that's been created. The humans are there, and it's working all together, right? It's actually functioning. So it's not this was good or bad. It's a functioning, orderly way of looking at life. Right? And so knowing that, when I hear the word good in our saying of there is only one power, one source active in the universe in my life, God the good, I'm thinking of it in terms of how am I functioning? How is my order in my life? Because again, metaphysically, we want to take these lessons and these ideas and bring them to how does this show up in me? Not how does it show up in other people. I know we like to do that, but we really want to look at ourselves, right? So is my life functioning? Is it in order? Am I working in the place that I want to work? And not job-wise, but in what needs to be done to have my life work the way I want it to. So you can see then in that instance, this word good is not a comparison. It takes it right out of the realm of good versus bad and puts it into that place of orderly, functional, something that is magical, so to speak. Now, how do we know this? Because later, God sees that it's not quite working for Adam, so he decides Adam needs a partner. And I believe the word is lotove. So lotove is used, which means this isn't working. This is not in function, and creates a partner for Adam at that point in order for humanity to expand, for this idea of creation to actually unfold. And part of that responsibility is being responsible for the earth to what's the word I'm looking for? Create harmony would be it, but to also manage what is there. So humans being the highest consciousness level that was created in the creation story. And so it's our responsibility to take care of things, to create that order in our world all the time. And whenever there isn't order, as we saw the example by God, is to step in and again to try to bring that order back to place. So that functioning of how we're moving. So I kind of have, this is how I broke it down in my head when this Adam and Eve idea came up was, so in my rock and roll brain, here's what I wrote, it sounds like dudes alone, not good, right? Babes alone, not good. Dudes and babes, very good. So that's how I broke it down for myself. And that for me is a working order, right? That we are a team, not one in front of the other, not one more important than the other, but that divine energy working together in creating harmony in the earth. So my understanding then morphs into, I want to move away from that good and bad analogy. So then this one power looks different for me. It's really pointing to harmony, to supporting life itself. And you may have heard me say before that life wants more life. That's how it occurs to me, is that life is always looking to evolve, to move forward, not kill itself off. It's always looking to change. And that may happen as a result of the changes. Something may fall away, something may need to go, but it's always looking to expand and move forward. So a question I have for myself is, what I'm thinking and what am I doing right now, is that actually moving life forward or detracting from life, either my own or the people around me? So that's a new awareness that I am learning to lean into even more as I go forward. So the aim is really to understand our place and order, to understand what harmony, order out of chaos looks like, what functioning looks like. And if we take this to a personal level, and I think many of us probably struggle with this, it's to see and understand when fear is guiding us and not harmony and order, or to put another way, love, right? When are we actually being given into fear? And I think we live like fear is the real thing and love is what we're hoping to get back to. Does it not feel that way? Most of the, like, maybe not in everybody's life here, but if we look at the outside world, does it not look like we're operating from a place of fear first and trying to get back to love instead of operating from a place of love first, which would then push out the fear or hold it back? So imagine if we were to flip that, to be that love first and always that love, and give away to these notions of fear. You know, when you think about something you're going to do in the future and you get anxiety around it, or you get afraid of it, doesn't that seem like a normal thing to do? Yet, we could actually change that. We could be excited about it. We could embrace that anxiousness about it as an opportunity, as opposed to being something that we're afraid of. So let's talk about the grounding force that we might have here, and that is our wisdom. So one of our powers is wisdom here in our solar plexus. It's interesting that it's called solar and there's a sun, right? You know, it's kind of, we might want to connect to that level of understanding the universe working in us, as us, around us, right? We're not disconnected from it. So we have this power of wisdom, and it's an intuitive nature, yet we have understanding, which is the analytical, the stable partner, right? So we might feel something in here and then we rush to our brain to figure it out. Does that make sense? Yeah? It's hard sometimes to just trust that gut instinct, isn't it? Yeah. Have you ever not trusted it and then gone around a block and then come back right to where you were before and went, wow, I should have listened to my gut? Ever said that? Yeah. Yeah. So imagine if we could lean into that a little more and let go of that fear thing. So as I was thinking of this morning, I've often thought that in the 12 powers, it was weird to me that basically from here down, there's no powers at work. And I've always thought that was odd, like we're a whole body. So what's going on with like our legs, which are so powerful in our lives? Like, do we just not need them? Is that? So I was thinking about this morning, and I was thinking like, understanding. So 2 words, under and standing. So under me, as I'm standing, I need something under me to support me. I need an you get what I'm saying? There's an undercurrent that I need to stand on. And these principles might be one of those things where I can stand on these as a way to live out my life. So I started to do some research, and it turns out that when Charles Filmore remarried after Myrtle passed away, his wife Cora, they did a book together, and this was never introduced to me in any of the classes. She brought about the feet as part of understanding. So there's not only the spiritual understanding and because most of the time we refer to understanding as up here in the front of our forebrain, but it doesn't make that much good if we're not planted on the ground in our feet, that we have our spiritual principles in which we're standing on. And then I was like, oh, that's amazing. That makes way more sense to me now. And what did the Quakers say? When you pray, move your feet, is an old Quaker saying. So it doesn't work to just be stuck in our heads, right? We need to have an understanding beneath us. So I kind of look at it like my goal now going forward is to really build these pillars in which I can always show up on and be anywhere in the world and have my truth as a pillar. Not just something I feel here, not just something I think about, but actually the place that I can stand whenever something is happening. Does that make sense? And we've seen people like that in the world, in history, and even in the world today, where they can just stand in the presence of whatever and be solid on the ground. And not only that, I mean, we need the earth, right? So to have our feet firmly planted on the ground and to feel planted on the ground is super important. So I'm very excited about this, in case you hadn't noticed. I think this is great. Now we've got our legs and our feet involved, so I'm really happy now, because that was like a big miss. I was thinking I might leave Unity because we just didn't have anything for the legs, but now I'm good. I can stay a little longer. So, when Charles did the whole, well, before I get to that, I actually have a slide. Hold on. Let's go. Let's look at this. Okay, so this is what this looks like. Layer of support, what it represents, how it feels. So we can think of understanding as the bedrock of divine law, the unchanging spiritual principles. So love, abundance, order, right? So we can understand that and we can really embrace those things as an example. How it feels, it's immutable, it's unshakable, it's solid. We're solid in who we are and how we're showing up in the world. The mid-soul, which you might consider wisdom working with our understanding, is your ability to see that appearances and look at the truth of a situation, which is clear, objective, and what else? Everybody say it. Non-judgmental. Imagine that, Imagine being non-judgmental in any given situation. We had a group here, we were talking about a little bit about that on Friday night, about the ability to just have a conversation with somebody and not need to be right, not need to make them wrong, not for them to make us feel wrong, but to just have a conversation and see that, hey, maybe we have a difference of opinion on this, and it's okay. It's actually not evil, right? It's okay to be in a different place around something. And then finally, if we get back to understanding the in-soul, the application, this is the moving of our feet, how you actually walk your talk and apply truth to your daily life. So it's practical, it's step by step, it's real, it's living in the world, right? That's kind of what I see all of this as I become more aware of these teachings and as I channel more things, right? It's like it's unfolding for me all the time. As I investigate these things, I have more questions, which brings me to understanding being the disciple is Thomas, that Charles attached it to. And it doesn't surprise me that I have to understand things. When I hear that, I'm just like, yep, that makes total sense. I cannot just blindly trust very many people on the planet. There's few. So it's not that I'm out to make an argument, but I need to back that up with something. When somebody says something to me, I kind of need to back it up, unless I know their level of diligence around things, right? So I'm a little bit skeptical, you might say. And that's okay, because it's perfectly good to ask questions. It's perfectly okay to have some doubts about things and to want to investigate it. Now, Thomas also, in Aramaic language, which is where that comes from, means twin. Which then now I have, we have our conscious thinking mind and our feet grounded on the earth. There's actually the twin for understanding. It's not one thing, it's two things. Doesn't that make sense now? I'm just so happy. So happy. I can just go stand places now and feel really good. And I'm getting prepped to go on my motorcycle journey to Toronto and back. And believe me, I'm going to stand in a lot of places, and I'm just going to feel really grounded and solid when I take those moments. But that's really what this is, the ability to actually walk the truth, right? And be in physical reality and have both things working together. Have not only your understanding on a carnal mind or a conscious mind thinking, but to actually also have an understanding of being grounded in the world. And what I mean by that is grounded with who you are, right? Being so into what you have worked on that you're okay with not being part of anything if you choose not to, and not making it wrong, right? To be able to just go, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. And that totally reminds me, I'm going to bring it up again with Leslie, who was on the bus one day in Vancouver. And this guy got on the bus and, he kind of was a little disheveled. And he sat down in the seats that are sideways that are supposed to be left open. Well, he sat down there and the window above him was open and the bus started moving. So he's like on this side of the bus as it's driving that way. And in the first seat over here was a lady. And as the bus started going, the wind was coming in. And she said to him, "Excuse me, could you close that window, please?" And he looked at her, and he looked at the window, and he looked at her again, and he said, "Request denied." And I just thought, that's so awesome. He's like, "No, I want the window open, so I'm not going to do that for you." And he was completely okay with it. And I think, imagine if we could live that way where it's like, you know what? No, I'm actually not going to do that, but thank you for the offer, and not make it mean anything, but to be able to stand in that ground. So, intellectual understanding is only half a truth without its twin of daily execution. You don't truly understand a spiritual principle until your feet are moving in alignment with it. So that's the old walk our talk idea. Right? We need to actually be living the truth. And if we go to the unity principles, what's principle number 5? Live the truth you know. That's principle number 5. It's not enough to know that meditation is a good idea, right? That's really great. Hey, meditation's wonderful. It works really well. But unless you practice it, you will not get the benefit. Right? It's lovely to say, hey, the forests are so awesome and forest bathing sounds like a really great idea and going down to the ocean is so relaxing, and unless you do those things, you're not going to actually get the benefit of them. Right? We need to be living the actual principles and understandings that we have. And so with that in mind, I will invite all of us to spend a few moments together in this meditation.